my partner in the film is actually the producer of the film. So they got free talent.
And other than that one time on the set, that was it. You said that there was a scene you wanted to work on, or at least some.
I wanted them to change it, and they did, and it made perfect sense. And you want to know what it did? No, you don't want to.
No, we don't. Okay. Well, what did you know, or did you, or surprised you about Luca Guadagnino as a director when he first called you? Did you know his work?
I knew his work. I had seen only one film because there was really one film that was available. And as soon as there had been many directors were sort of eager to join and then couldn't, and many actors were sort of asked to join and then didn't. And when I heard that Luca Guadagnino was on, I said, okay, this is never going to happen. He's too good. He's too because my theory was that he is really the inheritor of Visconti. The film of I Am Love is very much a reminder of, reminiscent of The Damned. And it takes place in a very big house. He's not very interested always in action. He's more interested in what two people do together when they're speaking or not speaking, and that sort of thing. And I said, he's perfect. And he has a sense of luxury, which, without being sort of suffocatingly so. And I said, he's perfect. And so then I was baffled that he actually showed up at the meeting. And he showed up with James Ivory, and I said, oh my God, this is it. This is history. It's not going to happen. But it did.
I would like for the audience to know a little bit more about you, because we, as all writers, we know your work, we know your books, but you also wrote a very autobiographical book, out of Egypt, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this beautifully written book, but perhaps you can tell us a little bit about your beginnings.
My beginnings. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt. I lived there until I was 14 years old, and then my family, because we were Jewish, was kicked out of Egypt, and that was the end. And so about, I think, around 30 years later, I decided to write a memoir of my childhood and my family in Egypt. And since I come from a family that is essentially crazy and totally messed up, completely messed up, I figured I had plot. I didn't have to invent anything. This was real. So I wrote down that, and the irony of all this is that everybody who comes from Egypt writes to me and says, oh, my family was exactly like yours. So I said, how so? I said, oh, you changed the name of this aunt and of this servant and of that uncle, and you got my family. I said, that's not possible. Your family was normal. But it turns out that, of course, all families, every single family. In fact, a family is a unit of dysfunction.
And how close you are still in your heart and in your spirit and in your mind to Egypt?
To Egypt. Unfortunately, I'm not very close to Egypt. Egypt basically owes me a lot of money. And until they give me back my looted money, yes. But no, I went back to Egypt because the New York Times wanted me to go back and write a piece about the return of, this Egyptian Jew who goes back to Egypt. And I returned, and I think I took a long walk around the neighborhood where I used to hang out as a kid. And the walk took about 15, 20 minutes. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to go back to New York. And that was it, but I had to stay for about 5 more days. And it was really unnecessary because I discovered everything I wanted to discover. Within minutes of getting there, I had forgotten nothing. Certainly, I never forgave anything. And it was not my country anymore. I had nothing in common with it except for the buildings.
You also ended up in Rome, or in Italy. You spent quite a lot. Andre speaks perfect Italian, by the way. We could be doing this in Italian, but we're not. And so tell us about your relationship with Italy. How did that come about, and how long were you there, and how Italian are you, not Egyptian?
Well, my father had basically had the foresight to, because of his friends, and because we had a long family history in Italy, but it had all become sort of obsolete. So he decided that we should have passports reissued from the Italian government. So we became Italian, and in order to make the thing happen and pass for real, he had us have tutors at home, of Italian tutors who taught me Italian. I didn't know any Italian at all, but the tutor was wonderful, and I grew to love him actually. And eventually, when we were kicked out, we were refugees, and there was nowhere else to go but to Italy. That was my country, allegedly. So I arrived in Rome, and I think I hated Rome for about a good year. I just hated it. I hated everything. They couldn't even pronounce the word spray. They pronounced spray. And tide was tide. And what is this? You know, I couldn't understand how Italians could live like that. You're talking about 1965, which is a totally different era. But those were the boom years in Italy, and we didn't have a television, but we lived in a house in a building that was in a cortile, and so you didn't have to watch TV because you heard it. Everybody had the same station on, so you heard all the songs Sanremo. I only heard Sanremo on because of the cortile. But eventually I began to understand Rome. And at the very, very end, as usual, when it was already too late, I was enamored of Rome. I wanted to learn everything there was to know about Rome. And I would visit every weekend. I was going on my own. I would walk into various places just to get to know the city, which was endless. There's no bottom to Rome, actually. And whenever I had a chance after that, I came to the States, and then I kept going back to Italy whenever I could. And now I think we go back every year, and it's always it's moving. It's a lovely place.
Yeah, you were there just a few days
Yes.
ago. In fact, why do you say when it was too late?
Oh.
What do you mean? Because by then you had to leave?
Yeah, because then we applied for a visa to come to the United States, and my aunt was here. She was going to help us become American citizens. And I had gone to American schools all through my stay in Italy. I didn't go to an Italian school. And so I had graduated high school, and so the next thing to do was to go to college. And so I applied here in New York. I got accepted. And I wanted to go to an American school. I didn't want to go to a French school. I didn't want to go to an Italian school. So I did that. But knowing that I was leaving for the United States, I knew this was for good. And therefore my feelings about Rome were intensified, and it was like a long breakup that is certainly going to happen, but you try to delay it as much as you can.
And how was writing? When did you find out that writing was going to be, was your calling in life? And or was it ever? Or was, how did it come about?
I think my father wanted to be a writer, and he always read all the best books there were, and he kind of taught me how to read only the good books. Don't waste your time reading junk. And by junk, you have no idea what he meant.
Give us some examples.
I cannot, because they are still alive.
That's why we want them.
It's like asking about the scene.
So I'm not going to tell you, but there are writers that are so established that it's ridiculous to even take them not seriously. But he didn't, I cannot either. But I think by the time I was 8, 9 years old, I wrote a poem, and everybody in the family said, "Poeta." It was a terrible poem, but they all gave me courage, and I began to I think I wanted the praise more than the poetry, but I wrote poems all the time. And eventually, even when I was in Egypt at the age of 14, I knew that I was going to write something about being an Egyptian Jew about to leave Egypt, which I did 30 years later. So sometimes it takes a long time, but I've always wanted to be a writer, but I've done many other things in life. Some of them are embarrassingly bad, but I won't tell you about them.
How was writing your first book? Did it take a lot of discipline, the process?
My first book I wrote, I have to introduce this. I had quit smoking, which for me was probably, and still is, the greatest accomplishment in my life. Okay? It is the most difficult thing I've ever done. But for an addict, that's what it is. And Immediately after quitting smoking, I started to teach people how to stop smoking. There was a class by the American Cancer Society. They said, I'm doing it because it guaranteed that at least in good faith I couldn't smoke. So I thought, and I went to a publishing house and I became very friendly with the editors. And one of the editors took me out to lunch after she quit smoking. And she said, what do you do, Andre? And I said, well, I really want to write a book about how to quit smoking. And she said, that's not a bad idea. That's a great idea. And she said, do you have any other ideas? Well, I'm thinking of writing something about my childhood in Egypt as a Jew. Write that. And so I just took her advice and I started writing it. It was very easy. It was almost too easy to do. And it took like a year and a half to finish the book between courses and traveling and so on. So it was easy, and the editing part took longer than writing the book.
And what was the inspiration of Call Me By Your Name and then your other beautiful book, which, by the way, is very successful in Italy, has been translated in Enigma Variation?
The inspiration was, I wanted to be in Italy, and that year we were not going to be in Italy, so I decided I'm going to write about a house in Italy. And I started writing about a house in Italy, and then I decided, okay, that's it. I just was getting it out of my system. But I said, this is going well. And so I decided to go on, and then there was a car arriving, and then there was a guy, or at first it was a girl, then I said, no, let's make it a guy. And a guy comes out of the car, and then, okay, this is interesting, what's next? And then there was a passion, and I said, this is interesting, this is lovely, it's very nice. And then at some point I said, okay, this is going to have to stop because it's getting very messy. And I wrote some of it, and I sent some of it to a friend of mine in France, and he said, this is fantastic. I said, you think? He said, yeah, it's absolutely great. So after 30 pages, I decided to have the two possibly kiss. And then I decided, okay, this is getting so bad that he's going to have to die. One of the characters. And I said, okay, Oliver is going to have to die because he's expendable. And then I decided, okay, no, this is bad. And they have to do something together. Okay, they'll do it once and then he dies.
You went to the opera lot in Italy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, he was already coughing a bit. There was a bit of that, but for those of you who want to know, there was a scene, and it's kept in the book, where in the film, where Anchise goes and fishes a fish, and he's a fisherman because during the day he goes out fishing on a boat. And the inspiration was, well, Shelley went on a boat, and he came back in a different shape. And then I said, okay, Oliver's going to go with Anchise, there's going to be a storm, they're going to drown. And fine, okay, I'm good with it. I wanted to get it over with. But anyway, so I decided, okay, they'll sleep together. No, they'll become lifelong lovers. Okay, with this, I don't know what to do with that. And I stopped.
And Enigma Variation? It's quite popular. It was translated in Italian.
Yes.
It's having a lot of success.
It is doing well in Italy, and it's doing very well in England, which is fun. I mean, this is a story about a man who's very confused about his sexuality, or maybe not confused. He knows exactly what it is, but it goes all over the place. And he starts at the age of 12, when he knows nothing about sex, and doesn't even know anything. I mean, he really knows nothing. And he goes on till he's probably early 50s, and he has various love affairs, and they're all sort of segmented, and each tale is written totally differently.
I hear from a source of mine that you are an idol among teenager girls. Is that true?
Look at me, okay?
And what happened? And what do they do? Tell us. Do they chase you? Do they write to you? It's not only Timothy, It comes from somewhere.
No, the girls are wonderful. They write to me the most beautiful, wonderfully well-written letters. These are not just fans. They are really aspiring writers. And some of them, I reply to them because they're so young and so vulnerable and so enthusiastic, and they're not corny in any way, that you have to respond. And so I respond to them. And one of them eventually, who lives in Seattle, when I went on a book tour in Seattle, I said, why don't you come and meet me and come with your mother? So the mother shows up as well. She's a very nice, polite lady, doesn't say a word. But I felt that she was 16. So and I always say, tell your parents that I wrote back, okay? I don't want any trouble here.
That's wonderful. I would like to ask if somebody has a question for Andre, and I see, first one up there.
Hi.
Hello. How old are you?
Where is your mother?
I'm 19. I go to college here. I'm also an aspiring writer. I was wondering, so when I first read the book, the peach scene really stood out to me a lot. And when I watched the movie, I noticed that they changed it. Do you feel like it took away from the true meaning of the book scene when they changed it in the movie?
They didn't change it that much. No, I think the film is an extremely smart and tactful film. What it does is it suggests just enough for you to know exactly what's going on. And the book, of course, because it's written, can go into greater details. Of course it can. But I think the movie and this is what I loved about the movie, is that it doesn't need to show more than that needs to be seen. And so whether he eats the peach or just touches it or that's fine.
Yeah,
I was very much happy with that. In fact, I don't want to see him eating the peach. It's the same thing as watching somebody, basically when they show you films about drug addicts, and you see the syringe going into the skin and into the vein, and the blood spurting out. I don't want to see that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Was there some controversy about the age difference, that the boy was 17?
I made him 17.
No, I realize that.
There are people there are very, very few who say this is child molestation. I said, you know what, this is fiction. Enough.
Right.
Bravo.
I did have an affair with a 17-year-old woman, though.
And
I was 30 at the time. So you relieve some guilt in me. You relieve some guilt in me.
Yeah, no, there's no guilt.
All right.
We have one here, and we have a couple back there.
More than I needed to do. Yeah. Go fucking crazy. Hard. I had to announce that.
Obsessed by your book and mostly Sean, but they keep talking about a sequel that you're going to write. Are you intending to write a sequel to Only by Your Name?
Well, they use the word sequel, which is complicated. I am writing something, but it's more, let's say, it's in tangent. It's more like an inspiration from the book, but it's not exactly what you might call a sequel or a prequel or any of those quills. It's just basically, it's on the same wavelength, just as Enigma Variations was in many ways, and for many readers, an inspiration from Call Me By Your Name.
Back there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I saw.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you about how landscape and place influence your writing process, and if, obviously in the film, these landscapes impact a lot of the narrative. How does that impact your writing process?
As you probably noticed, I don't name the city.
Yeah.
I don't tell you what the weather is like. I don't give you a street address. I have no patience for that. That's for Hemingway. It's for I have no patience for all these factoids. And so, as I'm writing, I don't think of let me set the reader into the scene let me give him a sense of what it is that is happening around the character. I don't do any of that. What I do is that in order to write myself, I need to know, okay, they're walking down the street, they're going to turn left, and they'll see the sea, and it's going to be a beautiful sea. And it's all very, very vague. And that's good enough for me. I don't describe to you I don't give you the name. I mean, I do say Cyprus, but to be honest with you, I don't know what a cypress is. I mean, I've seen Christmas trees, and that's a cypress for me. And it's that's good enough. I have no patience with authors who say, this was an elm, and then came a note, and then a home, and then please, this is so 19th century, and I have no patience for that. So I don't use these facts in order to orient myself or to give myself a sense of ambience. Just the bare minimum is enough. I don't describe faces either, if you notice. I never describe a face. I just don't care.
Thank you. We have another couple there, and then we should one and yeah, that lady black shirt, and then.
Okay. I know you just said that you don't, use location so much, but you reference the story of Percy Shelley a lot.
I'm sorry?
You reference Shelley.
Shelley, yes.
And his death. Yeah. Was that based in part for you, the inspiration in Medici?
Of what? An inspiration of?
I can't remember either the Gulf or the Bay of Poets. I don't recall which one, but that's where he was physically. I was wondering if the inspiration.
Oh no, well, Shelley was found in Viareggio.
Yeah.
That's where he landed. Let's say. And I have no idea. I mean, I just made that up because Viareggio is not close to Bordighera by any means, and we're not even sure it's Bordighera either. Okay, because it's only called B. And because there's another town called Bogliasco, and I couldn't make up my mind between the two, so I just called it B. But the Shelley inspiration was important because it was going to help me foreshadow the fact that Oliver was going to drown. So it was set in place. But then I removed the drowning of Oliver, but I kept the Shelley. That's how it happens all the time. You just make changes as you go along. Nah, I don't like this anymore.
We have, I guess, time for who?
We have one.
C'era un giovanotto qui davanti. There was a guy up here.
Hold on, we have one more right
We have one more there.
And this gentleman had his hand up.
Where? Who is the gentleman? There. Okay, raise your hand. I can't see. There he is.
Hi, my name is Gray. I was one of those lucky 16-year-olds. You actually made my birthday party. Not my birthday party. Not my birthday party. Sorry, no, I mean my birthday. I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with my question, which I'll try to keep brief. At the time that you saw me last, I was actually presenting, in a way, as female. And since then, I've made the transition to male. And I guess part of that has to do with Call Me By Your Name giving me the courage to come out to my parents and to tell them what I need in order to be happy and in order to find the love that I need, because I am also gay. I need to start testosterone, and that's kind of veering off of the course, so pardon me.
Where did I meet you?
Sorry?
Where do I know you from, if I know you?
From Huntington. I was the one that asked the question, and you sent me an email that night.
What did I say?
I guess you were like, it's very rare for someone to ask a question and to get 2 rounds of applause. But either way, Elio has provided me with a roadmap in order to navigate the path of masculinity, and especially as a 17-year-old myself. I don't really know how to do that, and especially as someone that was born female. I kind of was met with this wall, and I had to ask myself, well, what do I do from here? And Elio being a sensitive and in, I guess, what people would conventionally say to be somewhat feminine, was there any intention, but have you ever received a response like this from the transgender community?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. What is your question?
It was that.
Have I ever received? No, that's not your question.
Okay, all right. Then let me rephrase. Did you think that you could possibly have any kind of effect on people outside of just the, I guess, gay male community, as of course you have in people that are even straight and people that may be other things, but
Well, I'll answer your question very quickly.
okay.
First of all, I applaud your question. It's really a wonderful question. The real answer is I had no idea what impact my book would have. I thought it was just a nice little story and people would like it and then that would be the end. I had no idea it would get the kind of reviews it got, but I certainly had no idea it would have that great an impact on the entire population when the film came out. I had no idea. I thought the film was going to be a little indie. It was going to show for a week or two, 10 days maximum, turn into DVD, and then disappear. Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, I had no idea that I get mail every single day. Every day I get mail. And it is amazing what people tell me, and I've written about getting mail from people. I've already got a document out with the mail that I've received, which is extremely moving. People tell me all kinds of things, and it tells me that basically the story is, to use that cliche, it's a universal story. It hits every corner of the population.
I'll try not to take up much more time at all. I just wanted to say a very brief, as I said before, I was a very unhappy person at the beginning of this year, and after seeing Call Me By Your Name and just going through the thought processes that came with it, and with telling my parents, hey, this is what I need, I'm now the happiest that I've ever been in my entire life, and I can really attribute that to you and what you've done for me, so thank you.
I think this is a perfect way. I'm sorry for the other people who had questions, but our time is up. And so while we say goodbye and thank you to Andre, I would like to introduce Paola Randi. Paola Randi, of course, is the director of Little Titles and the Aliens, a beautiful Italian film which was shot last year and came out to do amazing